Exporting to CSV or Tab Delimited Text Files. In this video, I will show you how to export records from CurrencyXchanger into a CSV file, also known as a comma-separated file, and a Tab Delimited Text File, both of which allow records to be exported into a text file so they can be easily inputted into another application such as Excel or OpenOffice. So let's get started. Up on your toolbar, you need to go to File and then down to Export Data. Once in this window, we can now fill in the fields and fill in the values that we want to actually export. So for this example, I'm going to select the currencies module. So underneath Export from Table, we can select which module that we want to actually pull the information from. So I'm going to select currencies. Now we select the module, we can now select the headers and the information that we want to pull from that module. So I'm going to use currency code. Now we can either use the arrow buttons that we have down below, and you'll see that this has come down, or we can use double click with the mouse. So I'm going to actually use the name as well, so we'll double click on the name. You'll see that one's come down. And then any other information that you want to run this export of data and information on. So let's put in our buy rate and our sell rate. Okay, so we have these fields down. Now if we go over onto our right side, we are underneath the tab File. And you'll notice that we have the format. We want to make sure that this is on text because we are importing into a text file. And you also want to select all records. This way we can export all records that are going to meet these fields in this module. So you can see that we have 13 records to export. So now moving on to the next tab, so we have our header tab. In here we can actually select the title, so we can create a title that's going to come out on this text file. You don't have to have a title, but we'll just say in this we're going to use currency table, for example. Then we can also select to include the column titles, so that would be our sell rate, buy rate, name, and currency code. And we can also include the line numbering if we wish. So that's where we can highlight any of these right here. Moving on to the next tab, we have delimiters. So this is when we can select whether we actually want to export it into a CSV file or a Tab Delimited Text File. So right here we have it on tab, so that's going to be for our tab 1. If we wanted to do a CSV file, you would need to select from the drop down and go to comma, so that is our comma separated file. But for this example, I am going to actually take you through the Tab Delimited Text File because this is the most preferred version. So we're going to select tab. And now we may want to run this type of export and this type of data again, but we don't want to have to go through all these steps of selecting the fields and selecting all the different headers and so on and so forth. So what we can actually do is we can save all of these settings that we've just put in right now. Down in your left corner you'll see Save Settings button. We just want to click right here, and we'll need somewhere to save it. So I'm just going to save it to my desktop, but you could save it to wherever makes sense for you. And we're going to call it, let's say, Currency Settings. And then click Save. So now that just saves the settings. It's not actually going to save these specific numbers, this specific data. So the reason that you would maybe want to do this is because your market rate changes or your buy rate changes, sell rate changes on different days, and you can now run this export over again with the new data coming through, but you're just saving the template of the settings. So now let's export. So down in the right hand corner we've got export. Once again we need to find a place to do that too. I'm just going to use my desktop and I'm going to leave it as my export for this example. So click on Save. And now let's see what that looks like. So on my desktop, I'm just going to open the My Export. And it's going to open it as a text reader. And you can see that all the information has now been converted into this text file. And the columns have been separated by tabs, which is why we selected the Tab Delimited Text File. So this is what it looks like in the text reader What does this look like in Excel? I will show you right now. So we're simply going to just drag this file into Excel, and you'll see that all the information has now been inputted into Excel, and you've got separated columns with the separate information. You've got your title of your columns come through, and also the title of your table. I'm just going to exit out of the Excel form. I'm just going to show you how we can now reapply those settings again in a new export. So going back up to File on your toolbar, and then down to Export Data again, you'll see that everything is blank. You're starting from scratch again. So we need to bring up the currency settings that we set earlier. So down at the bottom, you just want to click on Load Settings. We need to select what those are, so let's find them on our desktop, and that was Currency Settings. And then you'll see that all of the settings that we saved are now appearing in front of you, and if any of this information has changed, it will now be exported through with the new data as well. So we can just hit Export again. I can just show you that we can modify it once we're in here as well. So say we want the same settings, but actually this time it's going to be a CSV file. I'm going to change that to comma, and then we can export it once again. I'm going to call this my export to, and save. And then opening this up in Text Reader, you'll see that the different information is separated by commas now. So just to recap, what we have done is shown you how to export to CSV or Tab Delimited Text Files using the export data and inputting this text file into an Excel spreadsheet.